Lee, how you doing? Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for, of course, watching Neighbours and being very supportive of the show. That is very dear to my heart. I love your question, Lee, about which 6 characters that my character, Dylan, would love to live with, irrespective of actually knowing the character. But firstly, I should say that in real life, I lived with Ben Nicholas and Kyle Marsh, who played Boyd and Stingray on Neighbours. Absolute legends. I was groomsman at their wedding. I love those guys, as well as Deech and Lackman, who played Katja Kinski. She's gone on to be in Severance on Apple Plus, Jurassic World, Dollhouse, you name it. She is the most caring and generous person I think I've ever met, and I love her to bits. So keep an eye out for all of her projects because she's a phenomenal actor, and she's just going from strength to strength. Character-wise, who you made it tough by saying that they have to be completely unrelated to Dylan, which is a bit tough because there would have been a bunch that I would say. But one that I could say isn't related but is related to the character would be, the first one would be Stonefish. I grew up loving Stonefish, the character, actually getting to come onto the show and play Stonefish's cousin, which was Toadfish's cousin, being the Timmins. So Stonefish would be one of those for sure. The next would be Danny Stark. If you remember Danny Stark, I actually did a guest role when I was 12 years old, and I had one scene with Danny Stark in there because I was with Luke Handley, I think the character's name was. He was battling cancer. I was playing a little leukemia patient, and Danny Stark was one mainly because I had a huge crush on her. Another crush I had was Cody. Do you remember Cody in the 90s? So those are my 3. We got Stonefish, we got Danny, we got Cody. I'd say Anne and Lance, right? Anne and Lance were the twins. I forget what their characters' names were. Of course, Brooke Satchwell and Bobby. Andrew Bobby, I think his name was, who played Lance. I met him briefly at the 20th anniversary when they all came back. But he is a beautiful soul and a beautiful man too. Can I say I'm also very good friends with Paddy Harvey, who played Connor on the show, and it's a shame that I can't be related because he would have been the other one that I would have had in there, but I was on the show at the same time. So who else? I would have loved to live with Harold because, of course, working with Ian Smith was so much fun every time, or Paul Robinson, so much fun. So we got Stonefish, we got Danny Stark, we got Cody, we have Billy and Anne. So I need one more. One more. You know what I think this house needs? I think it needs a dog. So I'm going to put Bouncer in there. Why not? So we got Bouncer in there. So the story that I have with Bouncer, obviously, he gets hit by a car and Dylan discovers him out in the street and I take him in. And of course, whoever owns Bouncer at the time is like, I know, I need to look after this dog. So that's Dylan's storyline there. Danny, basically, I'll put it that Danny Stark happens to be coming through the street and Dylan Timmins basically bumps into her, gets to know her, falls head over heels with her and convinces her to stay on the street. So that's why she moves in. Cody, who, if you remember, was shot, I think, in a bit of a drug bust out the front of Ramsey Street. She haunts the house. So there you go. That's what Cody's doing in the house. So that's the relationship that I have there. Maybe Dylan has visions. He wakes up and he sees this curly-haired, beautiful woman haunting the house, and that's that. Stonefish, basically, Toadie's going through such a hard time in Erinsborough through his marriages and losses and all of that kind of stuff, that basically I call up my cousin and say, bro, you got to get back here. So I demand that he comes back. He's like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to stay on my couch. So he moves in, stays on the couch. Okay, so that's all that kind of wrapped up. We got 4 so far. Then there's Billy and Anne. And how do I fit these guys into it? That's a tough one. So basically they come back and let's just put it, they're at Harold's. Right, and I walk in there and I start chatting with them, and I'm like, oh, Andrew Bibby, that's what it is, Andrew Bibby. He's a very nice soul. When I met him, Andrew Bibby, and the whole crew loved him too, should I say. That when I went onto the show, they were always talking very fondly of him, Andrew Bibby. And so both of them are back there. They're just at Harold's. I start chatting with Lance and start getting to know what's going on there. He's a bit heartbroken over Amy. I'll say that she's now left him and very, very upset. So I'm like, dude, don't worry. I'm gonna tee you up with someone. And basically, lo and behold, maybe I set him up with Sky because Sky and Dylan have since moved on. I'll say that Sky is now broken up with Lana, which from the 35th anniversary. And then I'll say that Andrew Bibby, I'll introduce Andrew Bibby. She needs a nice man, and Andrew Bibby or Lance is that. Then Brooke Satchwell, how does that fit in? Well, at the wedding of Sky and Lance, I'll just put that in there. Then Brooke Satchwell is there, and I'm like, listen, Brooke, I should say Anne. Anne and Billy, probably, I don't know how they're going. They're on the rocks, so I'm going to set up Anne with Stonefish, my cousin. So I end up being related to Anne. So, Lee, I hope this clarifies all of the people that I would love to live with on the show, and those were ones that were completely unrelated to me, ones that maybe I had met but not actually had anything to do with storyline-wise, but I'm a huge fan of the show. I still love watching Neighbours when I can, so I hope you keep supporting it. All of the cast on there, like legends like Alan Fletcher, Dr. Carl, Jackie Woodburn, Susan Kennedy, Ryan Maloney, Toadfish, Steph and Dennis, Paul Robinson, Ian Smith, Harold, even Tom Oliver, who was Lou. These guys, when I joined the show, were, I grew up watching them. So I was always in awe of what they did, and they were always so professional, knew exactly what they were doing every single day. They would rock up on set, know their scripts back to front, know what they want to do with them, create with the director, but still be on time every single day. And that's hard to do time and time again. Lee, thank you so much for reaching out. Much love to you and your family from wherever you are in the world. Peace coming out from Damien Bodie, who played Dylan Timmins.